Jack was assistant to President Lyndon Johnson from the day he became president. And then, I guess about 2.5 years later, he was approached by Lew Wasserman, who was extraordinary man and figure in the movie industry. Lew had been an agent, and then he was the head of Universal Pictures. He and Ed Weisel Sr., prominent lawyer in New York, and who was also a big Democrat and both of them were supporters of President Johnson. They came to see Jack and asked him if he would like to become president of the Motion Picture Association. It was sort of out of the blue. We had begun to think about what we would do when Jack's days in the White House were over, and we thought we didn't want to go back to Houston. But anyway, it was over a period of time. It happened. What the job, and this is oversimplification, but the Motion Picture Association represented and still represents, the names may have changed, 6 or 7 of the major studios in California. And movie makers of all the big movies you saw recently vying for the Academy Awards, plus Harvey Weinstein, who's, I don't think, a member, because he's an independent. But you know, they have problems with governments, foreign governments, have problems with our government. Tax legislation is terribly important. This may be getting a little bit out of that line of thinking, but let me make sure I say this. The movie industry is responsible for a large balance of trade, but it's a terribly important thing. The movie industry and the television industry, which has also become part of the movie studios, are responsible for a great deal of employment in this country. I mean, so there's a far-reaching opportunities there. You can see it's not just liaison with California. In fact, that never occurred to me to describe it that way. Our American movies are the most popular movies in the world. Copyright. Chris Dodd, I am certain, is still fighting the efforts by other countries. China is a big transgressor, always has been. They steal our movies. Jack made a number of trips, foreign trips, to encourage the Chinese government, other governments, to crack down on that sort of activity. But it's a major problem for the movie industry. Soon after Jack became president of the Motion Picture Association, Edie Wasserman, Lew Wasserman's wife, and Lew said, "We'd like to give you a party at our house." And they asked me who I would like to sit next to. And I said, Cary Grant and Gene Kelly. Well, Cary Grant was on my right, but I was on Lew's right. But I danced with Gene Kelly, and that was a lot of fun. I'm telling you, I was a little nervous about that. But he knew I had a huge crush on him, and he couldn't have been nicer. There was so much entertaining. We did entertain here, but there was a lot of entertaining at the office, you know, where you were the other night with the party for George Stevens. Jack made the most of the dining room, and you could seat 80 people in the dining room, and then if you wanted to, you could put a couple more tables in the living room. It looked a little bit different now. Chris has made some changes in the architecture and interiors, but that was a great way for all of us to get to know senators and congressmen and their wives. And they would come and see them, have dinner, have a drink, have dinner, and see a great movie. Now, because of the ethics rules, that isn't possible. The rating system, I think, is a lasting thing that Jack did. not too long after he took that job, censorship became something of an issue. And I don't remember the history of that very well, except my memory is that a few cities were talking about setting up censorship laws, rules, whatever, in their cities. Jack felt, and other in the movie industry felt, that would be a terrible thing to happen, to have government censorship. So anyway, he came up with the idea of the rating system. And it's lasted, what, 40 years or whatever. It has a favorability of something like 70%. Politicians would love to have favorship of 70%. Everybody knows about it. All parents want to know the rating of a movie before they take their young children there. I think everybody wanted to settle this issue terribly. I mean, everybody liked movies, but I don't remember any spirited opposition on the part of a major political figure. I just don't. I think movies have maybe gotten better. I thought there was an outstanding choice for the Oscars this year. I don't know that I would rank Argo as one of the top movies of all time, but it certainly was a very, very good movie. I made a decision to be involved in one charity a number of years ago, 20 years ago. Woodley House is a halfway house for the mentally ill, and I raised money for them. We have a movie benefit every year. This year we had Les Miserables, which was I thought was a fabulous movie, and it was. I love the part of the Oscars this year that I particularly enjoyed was when the chorus of Les Mis came out. I thought that was spectacular. But you know, mental illness is not a sexy cause, and particularly it wasn't when I first became involved in Woodley House. It may have been even 25 years ago. I know our first movie was Titanic, and James Cameron, the director, came here for the screening, and Tipper Gore and Al invited us to have a reception at the Vice President's house before the screening. Jack always said they came from the same DNA. I mean, they like attention, they like publicity, they like making speeches usually, but they were cut from the same DNA, the same cloth.